Going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone has had a great Tuesday and a great start to the week. I hope you guys are ready for another 2025 fantasy football mock draft with you guys, with the Catch fam, hopping into a 12-team full PPR mock tonight like usual. Usual format: one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, two flex, and five bench spots, and a tight end. Don't forget about those tight ends. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna talk some fantasy football, and we're gonna get this mock going in like 30 seconds. So if you guys are out there waiting, be ready. Getting started very shortly. Pete's in the house. What's going on, man?
Not much. Feels like we're kind of past the exciting time, little dead time now. Mini camps kind of over. I guess the Rams just started mini camp in Hawaii, so I'm sure it won't be any sort of drama or anything down there. But I'm excited. Let's get into it. Almost into training camp, I guess. We need some news. Keenan Allen, sign with somebody, please.
I know we're like trying to think of the free agents that are still out there, and there's really like nothing exciting that can happen. I feel. Yeah, Keenan Allen's like the only person I could think of, and I feel like Keenan Allen's going to be a player that doesn't even get, added to a roster till like early season ish. I don't even know.
Probably
But
like end of training camp, like maybe second preseason game, something like that.
yeah, I could see him being like a player who joins a team kind of like mid season or something. But yeah, looking at available, I mean the available running backs are awful. It's like Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, Jeff Wilson. Wide receivers that are available: Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. I guess Cooper's interesting. Gabe Davis is still out there. Nelson Aguilar. I mean, it's pretty gross. Pretty gross.
It's not good. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, maybe the suspensions that could
Yeah,
be looming for a
suspensions.
couple of wide receivers is going to be the next domino to fall for us.
I did see that like Jordan Addison's court date was set. So, or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's semi interesting. DUI trial set for July. So he had a hearing yesterday, and his court date is July 12th. So we'll see what happens. That could be exciting. Off-season banter.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy if he's actually taken it to trial. I figured he'd just like plea some thing or whatever.
I guess the question will be: how's the NFL act on it or not act on it? Supposedly, I still think that Addison is a great value where he's going in drafts. So, and I think he'll fall back a little bit if and when suspension does
Yeah.
come, and I think that makes him an even better draft value.
He missed some games last year too early in the season. I think he missed like 3 or 4. So not much different there if we see a 4-game suspension for him, and at least he'll be healthy.
Yeah. So from a pure fantasy, aspect, I have no beef with Jordan Addison, unless it's like an 8-game suspension that he can't appeal.
Yeah, that would be setting new precedent though if we saw something like that.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, we're in that time of year where we're just drafting and waiting. That's all we can do. And we also cross our fingers there's no major injuries. I'd rather there be no injuries than have news that's injury news. But yeah, all we can do is really start to strategize and sit back and have some fun. I mean, mock draft season only lasts so long. So all right, first round wrapping up here. Barkley falls to the 1-5 tonight. I'm seeing Barkley fall in more and more drafts. And personally, from the 1-4 or 1-5, I really like going double hero running back. So I have no qualms whatsoever taking Barkley there. But I do think we're going to start to see some drafts where people are drafting Bijan a little bit more aggressively, especially as the offseason progresses. So I also like Bijan in that range. There goes J-Dubs starting his draft double hero RB potentially. Genty and C-Mac off the board.
That's kind of crazy. That's like that feels like a very scary combo right there.
Yeah,
Just
I mean, yeah,
unknown
I do agree.
rookie, and then CMC is like, hold your breath. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, it could be great. Could be RB easily. Could be RB 1 and 2 next year. Who knows?
Sure, a lot of upside. I also have this feeling that I don't mind where Genty's going in drafts, and I totally understand it. But I feel like his rookie season is going to be really similar to Bijan's rookie season. I think he could easily be a top 10 back, but
I think it'll be a little bit better because I think the red zone play calling will actually be competent, unlike the Arthur Smith red zone play calling
fair
we
point.
saw.
Fair
So
point. I
could
mean, yeah,
help.
Bijan definitely should have had more touchdowns his rookie season. That's for sure. He had 4 rushing, 4 receiving. And I mean, Algier had 4 rushing that year. And for some reason, I feel like Johnny Smith had 3 rushing touchdowns that year.
Yeah,
Something crazy.
Cordell Patterson probably had a few.
Yeah, Patterson. I was trying to think of who the other guy was, but fair point there. But yeah, Genty C-Mac, definitely a fun start. And what am I going to do with this next pick? All right, let's start to see who's in the chat. Let us know how you guys are doing. Let us know what's going on. Good to see a couple familiar faces tonight. Appreciate you guys coming out, drafting with us. Ray Gamer, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, I really like going double hero RB in this range, but I like to potentially land Bucky or Josh Jacobs are the two guys. A-Chain's usually not here. I love him here too. I do like JT. I do like Kyron Williams. Kind of tough to double dip into the Eagles like this, but I'm not going to pass up AJ Brown. I think he's the best player available. So I'm good with that. Fly Eagles fly. J Dubs, good to see you. Andrea, hello. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. Shane's in the house. What's up, man? Albert, hello. Thank you for the super chat, J Dubs. We need some news. That's for sure. Yeah, what can really what news can we even get? There's no free agents. I feel like the trade block is not even a thing right now. We might get a surprise trade, I guess.
The trade would be like defense. It wouldn't be offense. It
Yeah.
would be like Trey Hendrickson or something.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey probably going to be a
Yeah.
thing.
Tyreek Hill would be the one out of left field, maybe.
Yeah, fair. Other than that, I'm I don't know. I don't really think ETN's going to get traded.
Probably
There's
not.
Brees Hall rumors. I don't think that's
Yeah.
going to be a thing. So
Only bad stuff. It could only be bad stuff. I feel
Yeah.
like someone gets hurt, someone gets in trouble.
Yeah. I guess we're still waiting on Rashee Rice potentially have a suspension. I feel like I haven't heard any news on that either. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, hopefully no bad news. I'd rather just wait than have stupid injuries start to pop up.
Training. Oh, somebody's dealing with an ankle. Somebody's dealing with a arm or wrist or whatever.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. This early, you will see injuries start to pop up, but it's especially when it's veteran players and it's an ankle, wrist, like you just said, how serious is it? Is it even going to impact anything? Probably not.
It could also be because they're mandatory team workouts, so they got to show up so they don't get fined or anything like that. They don't get excused absences. It's you can just show up. You don't have to practice or whatever.
Yeah, unless
in the meetings.
Unless deemed super worrisome, which sometimes can be hard to tell by coach speak at this point in the offseason. But generally speaking, I don't freak out about injuries unless it's this player tore his ACL, but this point in the offseason, veteran's going to be a little sneaky at times. All right, I'll take Brees Hall here. Only green jerseys on my team tonight.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, an Addison suspension for 3 games doesn't bother me at all. But I do expect, no matter what the suspension is, for him to drop at least a round in fantasy ADP.
And just JJ McCarthy on top of it too.
Sure.
Probably see his little dip.
Yeah, but Addison's one of those players that I been drafting a lot. I've been talking a lot about in videos as of late. Jacob says, I lean into uncertainty. That is true. We know this. How far can CMC go up the board where the injury is no longer baked in? He's my 9th overall. Meh. I still feel like that end of tier wide receiver there is just so strong. I think Neighbors, Collins, or B. Tom could all be the wide receiver one this year, and I wouldn't be surprised. Nico was on pace to be wide receiver 1 or 2 before he got injured. B. Tom was a wide receiver 4 last year.
That, it kind of reminds me of last year's draft where that was like the Saquon Bijan spots, like 8, 9, 10, 11. We were seeing those two go, and
then Gibbs was kind of baked in around the 112.
Yeah, Gibbs also, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite. It's wide receivers this year.
Wide receivers. Because they did so well, they've scooted up on the board.
And then like this past year, running backs did so well. So it's interesting there. But I don't know. I think the highest. I mean, I don't know. A player can go as high as you can possibly imagine. Depends on the consensus. And
Nico Collins feels like him or BTJ just feel like a huge like they could have a monster season. If CJ Stroud is what we saw in the playoff games and he's healthy and the Texans offense is better, he's going to be a monster.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about Neighbors in the offseason. I talked about Nico and B. Tom in the video I put out earlier today. I don't see myself drafting C-Mac over those 3 guys, and I still think that the 8 players in front of them, Amon-Ra, Puka, Gibbs, Barkley, Bijan, JJ, Lamb, Chase, deserve to go in front of C-Mac. So I think the 112 for me is the highest that I could put C-Mac, but I still think there's a couple other names there that I would rather take. Wow, running backs got absolutely decimated. Such a weird range of wide receivers, but I'll go Cortland Sutton. But yeah, for me, Cats, I think the 112, and I still think like Genty over C-Mac perfectly fine. Henry or Lundo, I think there's an argument for. I'm okay with C-Mac over Ladd and then Bucky, A-Chain, Jacobs, Brown. But I'm really high on AJ Brown still. I really like Devon A-Chain. Devon A-Chain's interesting. He isn't a player that has really been in position to draft a lot of this offseason, but I feel like what A-Chain did last year is being a little bit overlooked. RB5 last year. In terms of fantasy points per game, let me pull it up here. He was the RB6, 17.6 fantasy points per game. After having 17.3 in his rookie season, and the knock was like, we know what he can do when he's healthy. In his rookie season, where he only played 11 games, like, is he going to be healthy his sophomore year? And then he played all games last year and had essentially the same amount of fantasy points per game, 0.3 higher. So
he had like a bad stretch, when the Tua got hurt, kind of right when Tua got hurt, like that week 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, that's exactly.
7.
Yeah, exactly when it was.
And then when Tua came back, he was a monster again.
Yeah, nothing but double digits. It's outside of week 17 where he screwed you in the championship. 5.8 games, but wasn't Tua didn't play weeks? Yeah, Tua was out week 17, so basically the same theory there. So as long as Tua's healthy, I like A-Chain a lot this year. But yeah, I'll argue 112 for me, Cats. But I feel like a lot of people are going to end up taking Genty over C-Mac. But hey, I'm all for Christian McCaffrey. I'm with it. But I was a little bit more comfortable around like the couple spots later. We'll see.
I feel like I'm out on CMC.
Yeah, which is fine. I understand being out on him too.
I don't like this his I don't like the social media posts that his wife does. I don't think the home life is conducive to a number 2 or number 1 fantasy running back.
I like when those are the types of reasons that like people are like off a player. It's like sometimes it ends up, working out.
Well, on top of the injury concerns and what are the
Sure, sure.
49ers actually going to look like. That's just like the selling. It puts me over the top.
I will say this, like I'm completely okay if I have a later second round pick and it's Bucky A-Chain or Jacobs.
Yeah, like where you
Um
were tonight.
yeah.
Right.
I'm completely okay with that. The video I'll put out tomorrow is a mock draft strategy from the 1-5. I literally just drafted a team from the 1-5 before the stream. And that's something I talk about. That kind of tier of running backs. I even talked about in the 1-4 strategy video as well. That tier of running backs, if you can go double hero RB, start your draft with Bijan Gibbs or Barkley, then come out of the second with Bucky, A-Chain, or Jacobs, I'd feel really good. And even if you have to dip into the Kyron, Chase Brown, JT tier, I feel really good there for a double hero RB strat. So we'll see. All right, Bryce wants to rank like 40 players. Roma Dunze, Waddle, Olave, Addison, Judy, Ridley, Debo, Jennings, Ricky, Pearsall, and Diggs. Or can you break it up in tiers and make it easier? Okay. I'll say generally speaking, like based on ADP, because these guys are kind of going, we're looking like 6th to 8th round here. Sometimes Diggs, Debo may even bleed into the 9th. So I really like Addison. I mean, right now he goes about the 6th round, maybe 7th. And I really like Calvin Ridley. He's been solid the last 2 years. His ADP is perfectly fine. I think Cam Ward is an upgrade compared to Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. I'm okay. I'll put like Roma Dunze next. I'm not crazy high on a Dunze personally, but I understand the sophomore breakout theory, and the offense will be better this year, I think. And Caleb Williams statistically was not as bad as some people make it out to be last year. And plus, like he couldn't drop back without being like absolutely obliterated. The offensive line, they've worked on it this offseason. We'll see if it comes together. In theory, it will. So if you're an Odunze guy, I'm fine with it. I like Jerry Judy as much, but like I just don't know what that Browns offense is going to look like. I like Olave, but once again, like Saints offense, tough to read. And if Olave gets hit the wrong way, like
Okay, I'm not a Guardian cap guy. I think it looks stupid. It's dumb. Olave is not wearing a Guardian cap. Brother, please put one on.
Yeah.
Please.
So like he should have like the neck thing, Guardian cap,
Everything.
like everything.
Everything.
But there have been
They made new Guardian caps too. They don't look as bad. Like they kind of blend in seamlessly instead of like the stupid like book cover type helmet thing that they wore last year. They look a lot better. It's like just please, Olave. It's not looking good, my man.
there have been players who've suffered multiple concussions and like never had another concussion again. I think Devontae Adams had like a really bad stretch of concussions, but I don't know. I like the talent of Olave. I like the talent of Rashid Shaheed a lot, and Rashid Shaheed was on a really good pace last year. If you look at his numbers before he got hurt, but it's like what is the quarterback situation?
Yeah. Also, who
You
plays
know,
quarterback? That's also a big F. Who plays
yeah.
quarterback?
I think it's be Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, I think so too.
I
Maybe
mean,
some Spencer Rattler, but
maybe. Like I think we got enough of Rattler last year. Just it's going to depend on how bad the quarterback play is
um,
out of Tyler Shuck. That's my prediction.
maybe they want to secure that first overall pick and then play Shuck
Yeah,
the last 6, 7 weeks of the season to see if they got something or they got to take Arch
yeah.
Manning.
So it's just not a great situation. I am not in on Waddle at all this year. Yeah, I'm just not there. And
Out on the Dolphins.
I mean, I guess Waddle was like he was okay week 12 through 14, but Tua was playing again in week 8. Like I don't know. I just got so burnt by Waddle. I'm just over it. I would rather take literally every other player we've just talked about over Waddle at this point in the offseason. And like I feel like Waddle went at the 5-12 tonight. I don't want to draft Waddle in the 5th. I just don't. I would rather wait and get a guy like Jawan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall. You know, they're both locked in to volume. Ayuk's going to miss the beginning of the year. They're both going to have a role when Ayuk is back. Jennings may be a little bit more of like a spike player. Pearsall maybe more of a floor player. But I like both those guys at their ADP.
I think Jennings showed us he could be a number 1 wide receiver in an offense.
Yeah. I like Jennings a lot where he goes in drafts. A lot of upside. So I'd rather wait and get one of those guys. Debo, what are we going to do with you?
Did you see that video of him? It didn't look great.
No. And then we got some coach speak that was really positive about Debo. So I'm kind of torn because sometimes we get this offseason narrative with players and then everyone runs with it. There are a lot of videos out right now. I will never draft Debo Samuel again. Debo's the must avoid of the year. Debo's fat. And then week 1, Debo has 17 fantasy points, because he has a specific role in the offense and it just works. You know what I mean? So also I feel like at this point in the offseason, Debo's just not going hard. So I think at the right ADP, I'll draft some Debo, but am I crazy about it? No. But I don't want to say I'm completely out on Debo. But yeah, the one video that's surfacing of him in OTAs is he looks slow and large.
And that's kind of been his problem the last few years too, which is a little concerning. But like you said, he could easily have they could have a bunch of gadget plays where he is just wide open because everybody's afraid of Jaden taking off. Scary Terry's drawing it. They're stepped up for the run, and Debo's your man.
That's the main thing. I feel like he fits this system with the specific players in the system well.
Cliff will come up with something, right? Cliff's got to keep open.
So I would just say, if you're feeling like you're completely out on Debo, to maybe open your mind a little bit. Because I think it's just one of those things that happens. I have a lot of good examples off the top of my head. Jamar Chase, his rookie season, he can't catch NFL football. Sometimes there's just these narratives that happen, and you can't get away from it when you look at fantasy analysis, and it's it's just not even really relevant once the season starts. So I don't know.
That was one of the more bizarre stories we ever had because we saw it. He couldn't catch in the preseason.
Yeah, that one did have me worried. I mean, I won't lie to you guys, but
especially since he sat out the year before too.
Yeah,
in college, it was. I don't know. That was crazy. I remember that. Yeah. I was like, holy smokes! Looking back at that.
But wow, Jordan Addison, come to me. Diggs. I mean, there's another one who Diggs is the party boat man right now. Diggs went from being oh yeah, it's a wide receiver 1, he has some value where he's going, whatever, to he's on a boat, so I can't draft him anymore. He might get cut, and I don't think the Patriots are going to cut him. I think we're past that. So, Diggs, when he's kind of fallen in drafts, I'm okay with where he goes. But he is age 31, going into his 11th season. That's what's more concerning for me. And he's coming off injury too, serious injury. But he goes into week 1 healthy. He is locked in as a wide receiver 1 here, undoubtedly. So there is, even if it's just red zone value, there's value. So yeah, this is a tough list. I would say based on ADP, I'm targeting Addison and Ridley and Jennings for sure, and probably Ricky Pearsall. Judy, I'm okay with. I just worry about the offense. Olave, mixed feelings. Waddle, I'm out on. Adunze, fine. Fine where he goes at ADP. Debo, just embrace it, guys. That's all I'm asking. A little bit. Take some shots in best ball. Diggs, fine. I mean, he gets drafted arguably the latest here and could be the best value here. So, all right, that was fun. All right, let me see. Are we spooked on James Cook yet? Yeah, I've been a little spooked. I think you guys know that. He is one player that's spooking me. RB8 last year, RB12 the year before. But it feels a little spooky. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't have a ton of leverage. 13.7 or more fantasy points per game the last 2 years. He's been very good the last 2 years. He's got that leverage. But in terms of a contract that's like crazy, I don't know. But this is his best bet to get the best contract possible. He had 16 rushing touchdowns last year on an offense that Josh Allen also had double-digit rushing touchdowns, So yeah, I'm spooked about it. But I'm a little less spooked since he reported to minicamp. I just think that this offense too for the Bills is like so, I don't know, they're just lacking like a huge, like the big playmaker is the quarterback, They don't have a AJ Brown or Amon-Ra St. Brown or like Terry McLaurin, they don't have like a crazy elite
Dude, they don't
running
have
back.
a dude.
They don't have a star other than Josh Allen, So especially if you take Cook away, then like we're looking at Ray Davis as the starting running back, and then like Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid, who are like fine, don't get me wrong. And then like a ton of kind of interesting wide receivers, to say the least. So I just feel like the Bills do need James Cook, but the negotiation, I guess, will be intriguing as time goes on here. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm a little spooked, but not overly spooked, I guess. It just depends on
Medium
ADP.
spook. Medium spooked.
Medium spook, and it just kind of depends on your build and everything. Like, RB2 for you and your draft behind Amon-Ra and Bucky, like I think that's perfectly fine. It's worth the risk right now, like without really knowing what the situation is going to turn into. And I'll say this, like if James Cook gets traded, like is on a different team, for the most part, like it's not going to matter for me. Like if he goes to the Packers and it's Jacobs and Cook, like that hurts. I don't know. I don't really feel like there's a ton of like needy running back teams. So I don't know. It goes to the Cowboys. Like I probably feel good. I don't know. For the most part, if he gets traded, I just don't know if it really impacts things. And it's going to matter more in like best ball formats than I would say like your redraft mock drafts right now. So I can put my money where my mouth is and draft Deebo Samuel tonight for you guys. Yeah, I do agree with you, J-Dubs. I do feel like James Cook really has no choice. If that's what you're referring to here. TD regression going to hit James Cook like Mason Rudolph's helmet. I mean, naturally, yeah, I would expect some touchdown regression there. 16 touchdowns, a lot. What's up, Cinnabon? Good to see you. Andrew, I traded Olave for Caleb Johnson in Dynasty. I think that's, based on value right now is fine. If you're high enough on Caleb Johnson, I think it's fine. And generally speaking, I prefer the wide receiver position in most Dynasty formats. But there's enough uncertainty and question marks around Olave that if you prefer Caleb Johnson, I'm fine with it. KR, what's going on? Hello. Good to see you. Jacob says Waddle's going at a reasonable value, in my opinion. It's fair-ish. I don't know. I don't feel good about Waddle. He still played 15 games last year. Like he only missed 2 games. And it just wasn't good. But I guess like Tua was hurt. So he played in 1, 2, 3, had the bye week, 4.5 games without Tua, for including week 2 when Tua got hurt. And then Waddle didn't play week 17 when Tua was out either. So I don't know, man. I don't feel great about it. I mean, we always have like the Waddle conundrum in the offseason, and I've always been a Waddle guy. And I feel like the last 2 years I've just gotten burnt. Wide receiver 34 and 46. I think I'm not doing it again. But go get your guys. Jacob says Juwan Jennings such an UG pick. I mean, I like Jennings where he goes. 7th round. Sometimes bleeds into the 8th round. But I will kind of agree that like you got to expect some down weeks with kind of his play style, especially once Ayuk is back. I think there's a lot of upside. So I think Jennings and Pearsall definitely worth it where they go in terms of ADP. Cinnabon Waddle's price is reasonable, just out on him until Tyreek retires. Yeah, I mean, that whole kind of tier, like after McMillan is gone, Waddle, Adunze, Judy, Travis Hunter, it's kind of a weird tier for me. Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, I feel like there's more value there for me. And then even like Jennings, Addison, Olave, Shakir, even Matthew Golden. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess if your theory is Tyreek Hill is crashing out, then I would like Waddle a bit more. Yeah, Waddle definitely was. I mean, that's the thing though. Like, yeah, Waddle was he was wide receiver 34 in 2023, so probably should have been closer to the 4th round, which is coming off a season where the Dolphins' offense as a whole was so productive. So Debo slows. Yeah, I mean Debo might be slow. It might be true.
Slow, very slow. Debo very slow.
Yeah. Last year, Fat Keenan equal drop off. This year, Fat Debo equal fall off. The thing is, though, Keenan Allen was not bad last year. It wasn't great, but he had some pretty dang good weeks in fantasy. Wide receiver 34 is not fantastic, but once again, I mean, he had good weeks last year. He was a solid flex player. 12.4 fantasy points per game. I mean, weeks 15 and 16, he had 20.2 and 29.1 before sucking in the fantasy championship. But I think you're happier if you had Keenan Allen last year than some might think. But yeah, I mean, wide receiver drop offs can happen. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, sure. Cooper, I think, is more intriguing in that conversation. I'm also a Washington fan, so I feel like I have to be in on Debo. Loving the Olave ADP if that sticks into August. Yeah, and like unless we get like crazy coach speak and like buzz, I don't think Olave's ADP is going to change. Unless like it's like Tyler Shuck becomes the guy this offseason that people are like raving over and all that for some reason. Which I mean, I've seen crazier things happen in the offseason. I don't think it's going to change. I think it's going to change. Social media clips have ruined people's thought process. I'd say watch games and analyze for yourself. 100%. I do agree with this. And this is a big reason why like rookie fever hits so hard, because we haven't like seen clips of these players. A lot of people don't pay attention to these players in their collegiate career. So when we have like new clips of young players and then you get fantasy buzz around them, this is where rookies can be both over and or even undervalued. But I do agree, like you take one clip and it's like that's the whole narrative on that player. That can be I don't know. I think it can matter, but can also end up just not mattering whatsoever. Let's see. I keep forgetting about J.K. Dobbins in these drafts. I love Dobbins in this range, but I think in August, like he'll be a 9th, 8th round player. It's a good pick for Tamone. Who do I want to draft? I'll go Rashid Shaheed. All right. Dynasty is my life. 12 teams, super flex, have Geno, Rodgers, McCarthy. Should I trade DJ Moore for Rodgers and wait, DJ Moore and Rodgers for Ayuk and Darnold? No. No. You've got like first of all, I'll take DJ Moore over Ayuk right now, for sure. Probably in general.
Especially Ayuk being hurt, and he was awful. Who knows what Ayuk's career looks like moving forward?
Yeah, I don't want to trade for a player who got a fat contract after holding out, then looked bad, then got hurt. Then I mean, Ayuk was very, very good. 2023, 2022 was solid his first 2 years in the league. But still, I mean, I'm a DJ Moore guy, but DJ Moore has been a top 24 fantasy wide receiver every year except for his rookie season. Top 16 wide receiver in fantasy the last 2 years. So production is there. And I expect the Bears offense to be better than last year. You do have 3 quarterbacks at 3 different stages of their career and uncertainty around all these guys going into next year, I think you could argue. But like I don't think this improves your team. Like Rodgers is not going to play next year. Geno could fall off any day, any point in time, but Geno was still serviceable last year. And I do think that he could end up being just as good, if not better, with the Raiders. McCarthy. I mean, McCarthy's pretty hot in Dynasty, hot asset. He's like close to that Drake May. I mean, Drake May and McCarthy are 2 players that get a lot of Dynasty buzz right now. The future is uncertain at the same time. Good system, good players around him. Looked great in preseason and all that last year before getting hurt. I don't know. You guys in the chat like this trade. I think the argument for Darnold over Rodgers is fair for sure. I wouldn't do this trade though. I guess it depends on how you feel about Brandon Ayuk. Like I don't think the Rodgers Darnold is as intense. I mean, Rodgers was still top 20 in fantasy points per game last year amongst quarterbacks, which isn't like fantastic. There is a big drop off between like top 8, top 16, even top 12 quarterbacks in fantasy. Rodgers was the QB 15 last year. I do think that this offensive system kind of like puts throwers of the football in a box a bit. We saw that last year with Fields and Russell Wilson. Darnold is interesting though. I mean, like Darnold was great last year in an MVP type season, but is that going to translate into the Seahawks? I don't think that's. I think it's really more about DJ Moore and Ayuk, and I like DJ Moore over Ayuk right now. Cinnabon says he do it. I just had to be comfortable without Ayuk until mid-season. I mean, that is a good point as well. And I think Ayuk will be solid enough once he's back, but I mean, like for all this hype around the Bears offense right now, I feel like at the same time people are uncertain about them. Ayuk, age 27, going into year 6, so he is going to be younger. But DJ Moore's age 28, going into year 8, so it's not a crazy difference. I don't get the DJ Moore argument. What is there to like? I mean, the production speaks for itself, right?
He's gonna be the Amon-Ra role in the offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's a locked-in wide receiver 1. He stays healthy. He's played 17 games, 3 years in a row, 14 or more fantasy points the last 2 years, double-digit fantasy points per game, 3 years in a row. And I think that this offense is going to be better this year with Ben Johnson as a head coach. I think Caleb Williams will be better in his sophomore season, and Caleb Williams was not bad last year. Once again, he just could not drop back without being sacked. And the offensive line did improve in the offseason. So, I mean, I think you get consistency with DJ Moore. Maybe not the craziest ceiling at this point in his career. But I think especially in Dynasty, like I prefer consistency. And I think once again, Ayuk is fine, but I think it's kind of easy to admit that Ayuk is like a player who a lot of people are torn on in terms of acquiring right now. So I think like trying to kind of upgrade here, I just don't know that it's a true upgrade. I think you could argue like longevity wise, it is an upgrade at quarterback because Rodgers not going to play after this year. I think it's pretty easy to say. But yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have DJ Moore than Ayuk. Completely fine with the Ayuk and still value him as at least a top 30 wide receiver. He didn't practice at all until he signed his contract, so I basically ignore his season last year. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair, but we've seen other players hold out, and I mean, it was rough when Ayuk was. I mean, that's the thing. Like Ayuk had, enough practices once the regular season started, and then enough games, and like it was not getting better. He had a good game against the Cardinals that was all based on receptions. He didn't have a single touchdown last year when he was healthy. But I do like the offensive system. I do think they'll be better this year. They're going to be healthier. I would hope the offensive line play is better for the Niners this year. But C-Mac's going to be healthy in theory, right? When Ayuk comes back, he'll have Jennings and Pearsall on the field, George Kittle, maybe Demarcus Robinson. So I'm not completely out on Ayuk by any stretch, but once again, we're looking at the trade purely for me in terms of like upgrading here. If you're competing, like I'm okay with Rodgers, but if you really want to go for more like longevity, Ayuk and Darnold are fine, but I just don't know that the trade like takes you from a place where you feel like you've separated your team in any way. I think it's a relatively stagnant trade. So at the end of the day, I mean, it could definitely come down to who you prefer. And a lot of times in Dynasty, your own bias is kind of what's most important, I suppose. So for me, I would keep Rodgers and DJ Moore, but I'm okay with it. If you want to do the trade, I just don't feel like it. I think it's a pretty linear trade at the end of the day. So, but good question. All right, one last round for tonight's mock. Remember Dunzo. I don't even know who I drafted like the last 3 or 4 picks, so it should be interesting to look at my team. I got Dalton Kincaid,
You did get Kincaid. How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. I'm in on the Kincaid resurgence this year. I'm back in on Kincaid. If I punt tight end.
Just when I thought I was out, pulled me back in.
Kincaid and Goddard are my guys here. And will not be in on Kyle Pitts, though, so don't worry about that. Thought process is Rodgers probably retires next year. Yeah, and I think it could come down to like if you want to get, offload Rodgers and take in Sam Darnold. What is Darnold's contract? 3 years with the Hawks?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think all is lost for Sam Darnold um necessarily. I think, easily could be in the top 20 type range at quarterback, but that's like not hard to do. There's 32 teams.
True.
Um I don't think I think it was a better system last year, better players around him. There are still good players around him. Like I'm not knocking, JSN and the run game with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, but I think that the wide receiver 2 position is weaker here, um, with an aging Cooper Cup, which I think still is fine. There are some interesting names like MVS and maybe even like rookie Torrey Horton. But I just think it was a better situation last year. So, if you want to offload into Darnold, I think if you're just looking at this year, like if you're contending, then that's perfectly fine. Like I don't think Rodgers versus Darnold is like going to kill you or anything. I could easily see Darnold finishing in front of Rodgers. So if you are okay with Ayuk over DJ Moore, then I'm okay with it. Rodgers to Darnold is a big value gap for me. That Moore to Ayuk is pretty negligible. That's fair. But once again, like I just think you have to ask, like, do you think Darnold is going to repeat what he did last year? And if not, where do you think he finishes, or what range do you think he finishes in? And at the same time, remember that Rodgers was QB 15 last year. So, like, if you think Darnold's like QB 12 ish, then like I don't know. It's a really close trade. Cats, you were wrong. DJ Moore was the wide receiver 26 points per game last year. So,
And that was with no coach.
26, not 36. So you need to fact check yourself. Ben has talked, yeah, but Ben Johnson has been like crap talking every player on this team. Like I'm really not worried about the coach speak. I think that Rome Odunze could easily fill more of that Amon St. Brown role. You could argue, but like this offense can support 2 wide receivers. I'm just in no way worried about DJ Moore. So keep your debate coming. We can go all off season. Give us something to talk about. We can't even do the bet. We can't do DJ Moore or Brandon Ayuk more fantasy points this year because Ayuk's going to miss time. But if we could, I would do it with you, cats. All right. Let us know if you guys want a team review. Let's hop into some team reviews. Taylor at the 1-7. And Florida Panthers.
Stanley Cup champs.
They're the champs, right?
Back to back.
Crazy. All right, we got Hurts, Colson Loveland, and Goddard. I like the tight end room for going late round tight ends. A-Chain, Chuba, Najee, Dobbins, Benson. Good running back room. Love the value on both Harris and Dobbins. Benson, a good handcuff. Puka, Evans, Pickens, Hunter, Pittman. It's a pretty solid team. Got Hurts and one of the 2 tight ends. A-Chain and Chuba, Puka, Evans, Pickens. You got a couple of different players that you can filter into the flex. So solid across the board. Andrea, good to have you in the house tonight. Thanks for drafting. We got Kyler and Jonnu Smith. Solid. As long as Johnny Smith doesn't get traded, I'm good with him there. Kenneth Walker, RJ Harvey, Tony Pollard, Charbonnet, and Dowdle. I'm okay with this because I do like Pollard. But do you think that Harvey, Charbonnet, Dowdle are potentially going to start the season more like, I don't know what their standalone value is going to look like. Harvey has the most upside there. I do like Charbs where he goes, though. B. Tom, Lad McConkey, Terry McLaurin, good start there. Cup, Trey Harris, Leggett, good enough. So we're starting Kyler and Jonu, Kenneth Walker, Pollard, B. Tom, Lad, Terry, Cup. Good bench running backs, some upside plays at wide receiver, and Cooper Cup as well. So good enough team. Solid across the board once again. All right, J-Dub's at the 112 tonight. What we do? A little late round QB, late round tight end. Purdy and Caleb Williams, I'm okay with that. And redraft single quarterback for sure. Andrews, I like his value, especially when you see him fall a bit like he did in the 10th. He's still going late in most mocks, but I like Andrew in the 10th. Genty and C-Max started off with two running backs in Omarion Hampton, Jordan Mason, MH Jr., who are really like MH is falling further and further in the third round. I like him a lot at the 312. Waddle, Adunze, Matthew Golden, Ricky Pearsall, a couple of the wide receivers we talked about throughout tonight's mock, and Josh Palmer, your guy to wrap up the draft. I do like Matthew Golden a lot where he's going in mocks right now. So let's see here. We're starting one of the two quarterbacks, Andrews, Genty, C-Mac, MH. And there's some uncertainty here, but like all these wide receivers could start. So Waddle, Adunze, Golden, or maybe Pierce all over Golden if you don't want to start like a rookie week one. But yeah, solid enough here. I mean, everything's filled. You got some depth on the bench as well. Ray Gamer, what's going on? Burrow and Mahomes. Say no more. You're solid there. Laporta, perfectly fine. What did Laporta finish as last year? Yeah, tight end 8, perfectly fine. Gibbs, Jacobs, Connor, Eckler, solid running backs. Higgins, Olave, Reed, Mooney, Thielen, Robinson. And full PPR double flex. I prefer, I don't know, an earlier wide receiver somewhere here just to kind of solidify things, but this could work. I do like the values on Olave, Reed, and Mooney right now. So you're starting Burrow and Laporta, Gibbs, Jacobs, Higgins, Olave, Reed, and Mooney, or maybe Connor over Mooney or Olave, or even Reed, I guess. And I think that Eckler, Thielen, and Robinson are all good bench values where you got them. And Mahomes is perfectly fine as a QB2. Charlie, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Hello, hello. A little bit late, but that's okay. Good to have you in the house. What's up, man? It's mock draft season. Cinnabon says a hockey team in Florida will always feel weird to me. They're a little bit everywhere now. All right, Cats. What's up, bro? Chacho? Your DJ Moore hating self. Lamar Jackson. Your guy Njoku. I like it. I do like Njoku's value a lot right now, even with the shaky quarterback situation. JT, Brian Robinson, Tajay Spears, Ray Davis, Jalen Wright. Good running back room here. I like, JT, Brian Robinson, Tajay, Ray Davis, all good values. CeeDee Lamb, JSN, great start. Metcalf, Ridley, Ayuk, and Jalen Coker. Got to get the Coke hit on the team. Really good wide receiver value for the most part in this draft. Lamar and Njoku, Lamb, JSN, JT, Brian Robinson, Metcalf, Calvin Ridley's your starting lineup. Tajay Spears, Ayuk, Ray Davis, Jalen Wright, and Coker on the bench. Solid team. The starting lineup is super solid for sure. Lamar and Njoku, Lamb, JSN, Metcalf, Ridley, JT, Brian Robinson. I feel really good about that. Now, this is a team where I really like Brandon Ayuk. I think that everything is solid across the board. You have 4 starting wide receivers. I think that's perfectly fine. And I like Tajay Spears a lot where he goes right now. Where's my guy JD going in these 4th, 5th round most of the time? It really depends on who you're drafting with. And a lot of the mocks we run, quarterbacks push back a little bit. So he went at 6'4" tonight. It just depends when quarterbacks start going. He's going to be the QB3, maybe even sometimes a QB2 off the board. And there's probably enough crazy Commanders fans out there that he could be drafted as a QB1 too. He will be in the top 3 quarterbacks for sure. Maybe you see Burrow or Hurts over him, but it's hard to say in terms of what round. But yeah, I think I would bank on at least needing to take him in the 4th or 5th. It just depends. I would say, like, if you see Allen and Lamar go, then you got to be prepared to draft him for sure. So it just depends on when quarterbacks start going. All right, Pete, what do we do tonight? Baker
I
Mayfield.
don't even know. I don't even know.
Don't even know.
It's a weird team.
We got Baker Mayfield, so that's good. Tyler Warren, a lot of upside. I do think that Tyler Warren is like a standalone tight end you could draft, and then you could roll with, like, as the season goes on, if things aren't as promising as some expect, probably due to the quarterback play. Pat Freiermuth didn't get drafted, for example. Kate Otten didn't get drafted. There's going to be help out there. The upside is there. Bucky and James Cook, good start. Like Pacheco in the 6th. Love Bashaw Tootin in the 10th. Solid handcuff and Algier in the 12th. Amon Ra, our boy, DJ Moore. Zay Flowers, Shakir, Diggs. Pretty good wide receiver value there. And then Jalen Noel to wrap things up. So Baker, Tyler Warren, Bucky, Cook, Amon Ra, DJ Moore, Flowers, Shakir. I mean, that's pretty solid. Starting lineup's good. Pacheco and Diggs on the bench. Tootin, Algier, Noel on the bench. I don't hate it.
Tootin pays off. It's a good team.
Yeah. I like Baseball Tootin a lot in the 10th. So I would say it's pretty solid. I wouldn't be mad at it. Charlie, wish I could snag him late like last year. Yeah, definitely not happening. No late round JD5 this year.
Probably a great dynasty court, like a keepers league. Oh
yeah.
Incredible. Probably could have got him $1 in an auction league.
A lot of good keepers. I mean, last year, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Neighbors and inmates went pretty early. But I feel like you drafted Brian Thomas Jr. last year. Brock Bowers, another one. I mean, pretty good rookies last year.
Bucky Irving, probably pretty solid value.
And some draft, I mean, Bucky didn't even go drafted, but yeah, he's probably up there too. It's a pretty good class for keepers, rookies. All right, Matt at the 1-9. What's going on, man? You did select Jaden Daniels at the 6-4, as well as Trey McBride and Tucker Kraft. Neighbors in London, really solid there. Solid start. Josh Downs, Jaden Higgins, Rashad Bateman, Demario Douglas, Kamara, Henderson, Etienne, Roshan Johnson. I'm not crazy about some of the back end players. I think if I pick, if I spend early draft capital, first 5 rounds on a tight end, I'm not drafting another tight end, but especially in the 3rd round. Over Tucker Kraft, I would have gone with like Bashaw Tootin or J.K. Dobbins, or even an additional wide receiver. I think that would have helped this roster. But let's see here. JD5, McBride, Kamara, and probably going to have to start Henderson unless you start ETN. So that could be shaky at RB2. Neighbors in London, beautiful wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. I'm okay with Downs as like a wide receiver 3. Then I'm probably starting Bateman as a wide receiver 4 to start the season. But Higgins could be a guy who turns into a flex play. And I think Pop Douglas could certainly still have a role in that offense this year. And you kind of saying could flex McBride, start Kraft. Fair enough. I mean, that's the way to look at it. So you'd have JD5, Kamara, Henderson, Neighbors, London, McBride, and then Josh Downs. Fair enough. That's something I guess I forget about sometimes. You can always flex those tight ends too. So, but yeah, I mean, this could still certainly work. Roshan Johnson, an interesting one. Obviously, I'm a DeAndre Swift truther. All right, and here's my team. True 0 QB, 0 tight end. Jordan Love and Dalton Kincaid had a little run here at quarterback. I wanted Goff or Prescott. Had to land with Jordan Love, who, I think Love is fine, but I think we saw last year this is a It's a run first offense, so I do worry about him, but it's okay. There's plenty of quarterbacks he went undrafted here who I think could provide help if needed. Dalton Kincaid, I'm in on the resurgence this year. But Goddard, I think, is fine in this range. Once again, can always look for help at quarterback and tight end as the season progresses on the waiver. Running backs, Barkley, Hall, Swift, Rashad White. I actually really like this running back room, but this could all be personal biasy here. I like it quite a bit. A.J. Brown, Cortland Sutton, J-Mo, Jordan Addison, my guy, Debo Samuel, Rashid Shaheed, Marvin Mims has some upside picks there at the end. So I'll be starting J-Lo, Kincaid, Barkley, Hall, A.J. Brown, Cortland Sutton, J-Mo, and Addison. If Addison's suspended, then I'd easily just flex Swift or Debo, because I'm just going to start talking up Debo every stream now. I'm okay with this team. I think there's a fair amount of upside, good enough consistency. QB tight end did kind of suffer here, but I'm okay with it. Maybe could have gone with a quarterback like Justin Fields over Rashid Shaheed. Maybe could have gone like a Tucker Kraft over Marvin Mims, for example. Jake Ferguson over Marvin Mims. But I'm still okay with it. Matt, only flex McBride or Bowers because they're elite of the elite. Yeah, I think there's still plenty of other guys. I think that if you're in a pickle, you could throw them in, right? Famous last words, my guy Debo Samuel. Hey, I'm just gonna roll with it now. This June 17th, Debo's my guy. All right, so there you guys have it. A great mock tonight. Good overall stream. Thank you guys for the fantasy questions, fantasy conversation tonight. I did have a video go out earlier this evening. Make sure you guys check it out. I used last week's mock draft for that video. The week prior, I had used our most recent mock draft for a video as well. So I'm trying to do that every week. So I'll come up with a video for next week where I use this specific mock draft. I'll probably do a similar video to the one that went out today. I'll do the best running back in every round of 2025 fantasy mocks, but I'll use this specific stream. So keep an eye out for that if you guys want to see this stream and this mock turned into a video. Nonetheless, make sure you guys are checking out the videos. Have a lot of content coming out for you guys as we continue to progress in the off season. So Pete, I'll let you say bye, and I guess that'll wrap it up for the night.
Yep, we're getting into the flow of things. New short coming out tomorrow as well. We got all sorts of cool and fun stuff for you guys. So we'll be back at it again, streaming next Tuesday. I will be, and then John's rocking it on the weekends with those underdog drafts or whatever. So lock in, boys and girls. It's getting fun.
Everyone in the chat, thank Pete for editing the shorts. And Underdog streams, usually Saturday nights. Last weekend, my schedule a little different because of Father's Day. But generally speaking, Underdog drafts Saturday nights, subscriber mocks Tuesday nights. Maybe sometimes it'll be Monday nights, at least for the month of June and probably beginning of July. We'll keep it that way, but just stay posted and see what happens. Good to see everyone tonight. Thank you guys for coming out, hanging out, talking some fantasy, and we'll talk to you guys soon. So with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch. And peace.